Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 4, and today I am here with Charlie, who is another student at the University of Jamestown. I chose Charlie for this specific topic. We're going to talk about propinquity. I chose this specific topic because I personally lived with Charlie and grew near to him, and he's become a great friend in real life and on my student life on campus. So, Charlie, how's it going?
It's going great. Like you said, I'm Charlie. I am a senior here at UJ. I'm involved in the band. I play whatever saxophone Mr. Ani needs me to. I'm also a part of the choir, where I sing bass on most songs because my voice cannot go any higher than a middle C. And I'm also on the esports team where I play. Where I played Fortnite last year, but this year I've been playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Counter-Strike 2. And I might be playing League of Legends next semester, but that's just because I watched Arcane.
Arcane is a good show, and it's making a lot of people think about things.
It's making me question whether or not I want to touch grass again.
That's crazy. So we're gonna get into talking about propinquity. Excuse me, and that refers to the state of being near or close someone or something, either physically or emotionally. And in that context, it forms a relationship. So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
How does living close to someone, like sharing the same building or us sharing the same rooms, increase the likelihood of developing a close relationship?
Well, that's obviously a great question. So I would say my freshman year, you guys were a year older. I really only talked to you guys during choir and band stuff, and so I just kind of knew you guys on a surface level. But then when you guys asked me to be your roommate for the next year, I mean, obviously you're gonna get really close with those people because you're sharing the same space. You're just gonna be all up in each other's business for the entire time.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So I had a few examples. I thought about the roommate situation, but there was also an example of colleagues being close to each other because of like something as simple as a school project. Let's say we have a group of people working in the same area, of same major, and they are collaborating on a project, and they just start building a personal relationship. How do you think working in a close proximity to a colleague affects the development of their professional relationship, and how can that lead to friendship beyond the school project?
Yeah. Can I use examples from my own like personal work
Oh,
experience?
for sure.
Okay. So when I first started as CNA back in my hometown, I didn't really know anybody there. I didn't really know anybody that was working there. So as a CNA, obviously you have to work together with everyone to make sure all of the residents are getting what they need. So we just whenever I was assigned to do the doubles people with someone, me and the other person, we would just get to talking the entire time, and that really helped us build relationships. And it doesn't happen as much now because we switched buildings and just procedures changed. But
Sure.
in those early days, getting stuck on getting put on doubles, or getting put on the double people, was like the best thing, because I just got basically two hours to yap with someone, and we got really close.
Nice. Since we're getting personal, I'll bring an example from my own life. I worked at the restaurant when I was this past summer, and I knew some of these people from high school, and it really just gave me a chance to rekindle that relationship that I forgot that I had. And I think it was because, I mean, we just worked together. And whenever the shift was going slow, we would just start talking, catching up on how everyone's days have been. How I got really close with my manager too. Yeah, I love that job. It was a lot of fun, and I wouldn't change it for the world because I got so close with just working with those guys. And the cooks in the back, I mean, I didn't even know who those guys were. They're the funniest guys I know today. Um, they always are. The cooks are always the
Yeah.
funny guys. So in our class, we talked about uh, the 7 uh, propositions of electronic propinquity, which is what our class is about. It's computer mediated communication.
Okay.
So we talked about the 7 propositions of that. Number 1 was propinquity is the perception of relationship closeness. Excuse me. Number 2, the more synchronous feedback, the more relationally close the people will get. And the list goes on and on. I'll read them as I ask you some questions. So, number 1, let's give a quick example. A team are working remotely on like a video call or like a messaging app or something like Snapchat.
Mhm.
How do you think the frequent use of video calls or Snapchat can create a sense of closeness among these people who are not in the same place?
Yeah. Um, for me, I think it's just there's a big difference between seeing someone's name on an email, or seeing someone's name on an email, or seeing their Bitmoji like on Snapchat
Mm,
versus actually just calling them and
right,
seeing their face.
right,
It's a lot easier to feel more personal if you can actually see the person that you're talking to.
for sure. And we'll go to number 2. We'll give an example. A student is taking an online course and can quickly communicate with the instructor and receive feedback and clarifications almost instantly. How do you think the ability to easily communicate through email enhances the efficiency of the interactions in an online learning environment?
Um, that's a let me think here. Um, I think while email isn't necessarily like the most instant way to do it, but if you're in an online class, it's much easier to just pop an email to your teacher rather than trying to hunt them down
For
through
sure.
or trying to hunt them down through other means. But so honestly, email is great. I really do enjoy it.
For sure. For sure. Let's skip down to Proposition 6. The medium of communication influences the degree of propinquity. An example is a couple who are primarily long distance and communicating through video calls feel closer than if they exchanged emails or texts. Do you think the video calls versus the text messages can be perceived as closeness during long distance relationships?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do think that. Again, I speak from experience. I had a long distance girlfriend for a while, and it was so much better if we would video call
Mm,
rather than just call and talk on the phone for a long time
for sure.
because it's easier or because it's easy to just kind of it's easy to just kind of like to just kind of push the communication to the side if you're it's easy to push the communication to the side if you're just texting or just calling on the phone. But if you sit down and video call, it kind of just forces you to be present and locked in on your partner,
Mm,
and it just feels a whole lot better to do that.
for sure. We'll bring it back to propinquity, and we'll talk about physical and psychological. So with physical, it's referring to people in the same location. And then psychological refers to the emotional or social closeness, even if they aren't physically near. So what we've been talking about this whole time with the examples and everything like that, long distance relationships, yada yada yada. So I have a question. In what ways can a frequent face-to-face interaction, like sitting with someone at work, influence a professional bond or a development of friendship rather than a psychological one where you talk online every day and you just have common interests? So to simplify my question, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Physical versus psychological. Which one do you prefer?
I prefer physical so much more. Yeah, it's just so much easier. It's just so much easier to build. I feel like it's so much easier to build relationships with someone who is physically right there next to you.
Gotcha. For sure.
Because if you're communicating through text or emails, like I said before, it's easy to just kind of push it to the side. But face-to-face communication, face-to-face relationship building I just feel it's so much better for relationship building.
For sure. I would say I myself am a very personable person. I can talk to people online. I've never had to deal with a long distance relationship before. I've always not tried to keep all of my relationships in town and close, but I've never had the opportunity, I would say, to have a long distance relationship. So I don't really know how that feels. But what I do know is that whenever I am talking to someone and it is face to face, it is my absolute goal to make them smile at least once. I would find myself in times of deep thoughts and deep sort of anxiety and stuff like that, and just talking to someone and having a conversation just flips that 180, and I just find some peace in it. So for me, obviously that face to face is going to be better than virtual. But then again, I can understand the virtual side with long distance relationships, obviously. But there's also relationships where people just haven't met each other in real life before, and they just have a strong relationship or a bond online. I was talking about this in one of my first podcasts. I was talking about my friend Justin. He had friends that he met over Xbox online, and he had never met them before at all. Until I think his senior year of high school, he went all the way down to New York City and met with all of his online friends. And he said it was one of the best experiences of his life, just being there face to face. But then I think that one interaction where they met each other face to face just built stronger, their relationship stronger over their online communication. So I think it's a give or take, because while I can be over here and saying all my relationships are face to face, you have examples like Justin where he is thrived and strived in having friendships where he's never met them before. So yeah
I personally wish I would have had a group of friends like that back in high school.
Too.
Because hearing them interact hearing them interact, it just sounds like Justin is having the greatest time of his life.
Yeah.
And it's just it's just amazing.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously they met online because they have the same interests.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, most of my friends I met in school and stuff like that. So it's like I'm not gonna say they're forced upon me because I chose them as my friends, but they were kind of. I mean, high school is different than online, and so they have all the same interests, and they don't need like this barrier between them of school or anything like that. It's just genuine happiness and friendship. So, yeah. Well, Charlie, we are out of time. I appreciate you being on this podcast with me.
Yeah.
One of my great friends, Charlie's. We talked about propinquity today and all of its yummy gloriness. I'm not sure. I'm probably going to cut that out. Thank you guys for tuning in to episode 4 of the podcast, and I will catch you guys in episode 5. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye-bye.